Welcome to Voice Daily Finance, the most important news personalized for you every day. Supported by Voice.com.
Today we're sharing three big stories. First, AI firm Anthropic just agreed to a massive $1.5 billion settlement over claims it trained its Claude chatbot on pirated books. It's a landmark copyright case that could shake up competitors like OpenAI. Then we'll look at how investors on the platform Yieldstreet are facing near total losses on an $89 million marine loan, and why the company's $5 million settlement is covering its own fees instead. And finally, a new 15% US. Auto tariff is creating a crisis for automakers like Mazda and Mitsubishi, whose shipments from Mexico have plunged, forcing them into survival mode and threatening the entire entry-level car market. So the story that's got everyone talking today is that AI firm Anthropic has just agreed to a massive $1.5 billion settlement. This isn't just another legal payout. Lawyers are calling it the largest publicly reported copyright recovery in history, a landmark deal that could change the future of artificial intelligence. To really get this, you have to understand a subtle but critical legal distinction the judge made. He essentially said that the act of training an AI on copyrighted books could be considered transformative fair use. But, and this is the $1 billion but, acquiring those books from pirate websites to do the training is absolutely not. It means the how you get your data is just as important as the what you do with it. This ruling basically tells AI companies they can train on copyrighted works, but they have to get them through legitimate channels. The lawsuit was brought by a group of authors who accused the company of stealing their work to train its Claude AI chatbot, a direct competitor to ChatGPT. Interestingly enough, Anthropic, a firm backed by giants like Amazon and Google parent Alphabet, has long pitched itself as the ethical alternative in the AI race. So for Anthropic, this settlement creates a massive tension. After all, their entire brand is built on being the responsible, trustworthy player in a field many see as a Wild West. For their enterprise customers who are very careful about risk, this news is a huge deal. It forces them to ask if this was just a one-time cost of doing business to clean up past mistakes, or if it fundamentally undermines the company's core promise of ethical AI. And the details get even more wild. According to a judge's decision, the company allegedly held more than 7 million pirated books in a central library to build its AI models. The potential damages was staggering, up to $150,000 per copyrighted work. It really just highlights a massive dirty secret in the AI world, data provenance. You see, to build these powerful models, you need trillions of data points. For a long time, the motto was just get as much data as possible, as fast as possible. Now, companies are in a data arms race to prove their data is clean, that they can track the origin and license for every single piece of information. Some studies have shown that over 70% of public data sets used for training have licensing errors. So the question becomes, is it even technically possible to build a massive data set that is 100% legally and ethically sourced? This settlement now sends a powerful message across Silicon Valley. Lawyers for the authors declared it the first of its kind in the AI era, and a warning that taking copyrighted works from pirate websites is wrong. Now, if you look at the language in the settlement, it's very strategic. It resolves what they call legacy claims. What that implies is that Anthropic is drawing a line in the sand, separating its past, allegedly illegal, data gathering from its current supposedly compliant methods. This could set a precedent for a kind of pay-to-play model for the whole industry. Essentially, other AI giants might see this and think they can pay a massive one-time fine to absolve their past sins and legitimize the models they've already built. And this legal earthquake isn't just hitting one company. It comes as other titans, including OpenAI, Microsoft, and Meta, all face their own lawsuits over similar copyright violation claims. The fight was specifically over Anthropic's use of pirated copies to build its library. But with a $1.5 billion price tag now on the table, it all begs the question, who's next? And is this the moment the AI gold rush finally has to start paying for its raw materials? The ripple effects of this go far beyond just authors, impacting all creators. What does this mean for musicians, photographers, journalists, and every other professional whose work has been scraped and ingested by AI? This settlement could be the first domino. It might either trigger a wave of new class action lawsuits from other creative fields, or, perhaps more optimistically, it could accelerate the creation of brand new licensing platforms and collective bargaining agencies where creators can proactively and fairly sell their data to AI companies. The fight for compensation is just getting started. Speaking of massive financial settlements and questions of corporate responsibility, our next story shifts from the world of AI to alternative investments, where a different kind of crisis is unfolding for customers on the private market platform Yieldstreet. Investors in an $89 million marine loan series have been informed to expect near total losses. The company did secure a $5 million settlement from the defaulting borrowers, but the real gut punch for investors was this. The company stated its own recovery costs well exceed the entire settlement amount. The bottom line, the company gets its legal fees covered, while investors are told it's unlikely they will see any repayment. This whole situation touches on a huge conflict in the investment world, the battle between a company's duty to its clients and its own survival. Legally, investment advisors have what's called a fiduciary duty, meaning they must act in their clients' best interests. But when a partial settlement like this doesn't even cover the platform's own legal bills, it creates a massive ethical dilemma. The platform is using the fund's governing documents to justify covering its own costs first, leaving investors who trusted them with nothing. The deals are now being closed, and financial statements showing the losses will be filed. One investor, who ploughed $180,000 into the loans, now estimates he's lost more than 90% of his original investment. He told reporters, "I thought this was somewhere safe to put it, and it wasn't." He added, "They are now washing their hands of the whole thing, taking $5 million to cover their own expenses with no regard for investors, and that investors' feeling of being misled." Well, it isn't just a feeling. Believe it or not, the SEC actually fined Yieldstreet $1.9 million in 2023 for failing to disclose major risks in a similar marine deal. So there is a documented history here of the platform not being fully transparent about how risky these alternative investments truly are. This isn't an isolated incident either. The news follows reports that Yieldstreet customers in separate real estate deals worth $78 million have also been wiped out. The platform, which once had a high-profile partnership with BlackRock that later collapsed, has since changed its CEO and is pivoting its business model. Now, it's focusing on distributing funds from established firms like Goldman Sachs and the Carlyle Group, and this pivot is a huge deal. It's almost a quiet admission that their original model of sourcing and vetting their own unique high-risk deals failed spectacularly. The question for the whole industry is whether these alt investment fintechs are destined to just become glorified sales channels for established Wall Street giants rather than true innovators. The saga began with loans supposedly backed by 13 ships as collateral, but Yieldstreet lost track of the ships, pursued the borrower for fraud, and after a 6-year saga for some, the result is a near zero return for the people who put up the capital. Which of course raises the question, how on earth do you lose track of 13 massive ships? Well, the answer lies in the technology. Tracking relies on the Automatic Identification System, or AIS, which broadcasts a ship's location. But this system can be beaten. Bad actors can spoof the signal, sending out false location data to make a ship appear somewhere it isn't, or they can use electronic warfare tactics to make a vessel vanish from tracking systems entirely. This case is a brutal lesson that just because an asset is digitized on a platform, it doesn't mean it's secure in the physical world. The company says it is bringing closure to litigation, but for the investors who lost their savings, the question remains, what was their money really funding? We've just seen how a company's internal decisions can lead to disastrous outcomes for investors. Now, let's look at how external pressures, specifically new government policies, are threatening to push entire car companies out of the American market. While headlines suggest tariffs on Japanese imports were cut, the new rate of 15% is still 6 times higher than the original, and it's creating a crisis for smaller automakers. Unlike giants Toyota and Honda, companies like Mitsubishi, Mazda, and Subaru have a critical weakness. They don't have major production plants in North America. This means they can't just absorb the tariff shock. They're being forced to make devastating choices. This vulnerability is, however, forcing some companies to get creative. For instance, Mitsubishi's lack of a US factory has become so critical that the company is now in discussions with Nissan to start building cars together in existing US plants. It's a survival strategy to localize production and dodge these massive tariff costs. The numbers are staggering. Mazda's shipments from its key Mexico plant to the US have plunged by 54%. And you might be thinking, wait, Mexico? Isn't that a preferential trade partner? Well, it's not that simple anymore because of the incredibly complex rules of origin in the USMCA trade agreement. These rules require 75% of a car's parts to be from North America and a large portion of the work to be done by labourers earning at least $16 an hour. For a company operating in Mexico, meeting these new expensive standards is a logistical nightmare, effectively cancelling out the benefits of manufacturing there. Mitsubishi has already hiked prices by an average of over $2,400 per vehicle. And Subaru just eliminated the base model of its popular Outback entirely. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. One analyst is now on the record stating that for a company like Mitsubishi, which relies on affordable models, the price hikes could force them to potentially retreat from the US market. And this isn't just about one company, it's part of a bigger, more alarming trend, the extinction of the entry-level car. Since 2017, the number of new car models available in the US for under $25,000 has dropped from 36 to just 10. Automakers are being forced to abandon first-time buyers to focus on high-profit trucks and SUVs. This isn't just a corporate battle, it's hitting consumers directly. The cost of a Mazda 3 sedan is already up nearly 20% from 2022. As new affordable cars get more expensive, buyers are being pushed into the used car market. One expert warns that a customer looking for a new $30,000 crossover might now be forced to buy a 3-year-old used one instead. And the impact goes far beyond your wallet. This shift creates a dangerous ripple effect. When more people are forced into older used cars, it slows down the adoption of critical new safety technologies like advanced driver assistance systems. It also puts a brake on the transition to electric vehicles as buyers opt for more affordable used gasoline cars. The average price for a 3-year-old used vehicle has already jumped past $30,000, showing just how intense the pressure is. The fight for survival is on, with companies considering drastic measures from factory collaborations to cutting more models. This all begs the question, as the affordable new car market gets squeezed, who will be the last one standing?
That's it for today on Voice Daily Finance. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.